Enjoying this interview here by Ngannou. Ngannou is the brand new champion of the world. Ngannou beat the shit out of Stipe Miocic. Miocic is just bouncing around there, right? His hair is all, he got, you know, his hair was beautiful, the way it was just floating around. But when I just rewatched it, I'm kind of like, what the fuck is Stipe Miocic even doing? It's like he's trying to still tell Ngannou that he's, you know, a nice, good guy, but he wasn't actually there. He wasn't hungry. He didn't want to fight. So you got Mike Tyson, and you got Ngannou, and then you got this guy over here that's talking about something, about, you know, something about something. But compare the hunger of Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, he would just, you know, walk into the ring, and yeah, okay, we'll shake hands or whatever, but he's just sitting there eyeballing you like, what's up now, huh? And just like, he was, you know, just had his dukes up ready to fight as soon as he came from the corner. Mike Tyson was hungry. Mike Tyson was hungry. Mike Tyson is still a beast. The passion of Mike Tyson, whew, I don't think you can beat the passion of Mike Tyson. That's the level of passion that we should aspire to. But we got ourselves a new champion, right? Ngannou Francis. I'm going to go to Ngannou. They call him the Predator. I don't really like that nickname because he's so humble and polite and quiet and nice. Yeah, ferocious beast, right? Ferocious monster. Beats the shit out of people inside the ring. Just go with the champ, though, you know? Just go with the champ, and then when he kicks, you know, the guy's ass, he'll just tell, I think he's telling the audience to just, you know, shh, or maybe he's telling the person to go to sleep. Telling the person, telling the audience, telling the entire world, look at this, I'm the champ, and I just kicked another motherfucker's ass. What do you think about that? So, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, right? This just is, they're not really, he's not really Ali, he's not really Tyson, but he's Cameroonian, he's African, he's 6'3", 263 pounds. Dude is a beast. He is big and he's strong. He looks like the champion. He looks like what the champion should look like. The heavyweight champion, the heavyweight means you could be unlimited. You could be 300, 400, 500 pounds if you want to be. So when Ngannou knocked out Stipe Miocic and became the UFC champion of the world, the Cameroonians were all in, you know, erupted in cheers because they're like, whoa, look at this shit. So that was fantastic because that's exactly what I felt like. It was like, hell yeah! Woo! We won! I got 11% black blood in me, which pisses off both white and black people. But Jack Johnson is back. I'll say he's Jack Johnson in terms of his stature, in terms of his, you know, how big he is. Jack Johnson was a tall, big, strong motherfucker. You know, Tyson was hungry, but Tyson was kind of short and stocky. Muhammad Ali, he had some height. He had some muscle mass, but he was, you know, dancing, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee kind of shit. This is just Jack Johnson, Ngannou. He's quiet, he's humble. He speaks softly, and he's got a big, fat fucking stick. He's kind, he's nice, he's polite. He made a shit ton of money off of Bitcoin. He sold some dirt. He used to work in the mines in Cameroon. Cameroon, this is where the United States, we got a war in Cameroon. I know most Americans don't know this, but we got a war in Cameroon, and we'll just say we're winning, you know. Who gives a shit what the truth is, right? We're on the side of the fucking dictator. It's Paul Biya. He's been a dictator for 40 fucking years, and actually if America wants to do Cameroon, you know, a big favor, topple Paul Biya and get some goddamn elections going on in fucking Cameroon, some actual fair elections. Francis Ngannou comes from a nation, a blood diamond nation that you have just terrorists and you got tribal warlords that are fighting each other. You got Boko Haram, you got Paul Biya, you got the U.S. troops, you got drones. You got migrants crossing over the border from the chaos of the Central African Republic. There's a lot of shit that's going on in Cameroon. But the biggest thing is, for America, we got our troops there, and we're on the side of Paul Biya, who is the corrupt dictator for 40 years. He's been a corrupt dictator of Cameroon for 40 goddamn years, having fake election after fake election. So America, maybe we could do Francis Ngannou and his people a favor. Maybe we could actually, liberate his fucking country. Paul Biya is a fucking dictator. He's a totalitarian, low-life fascist dictator. He's terrible. He's awful. There's no, if you don't have fair elections in how, this is what Haiti and Somalia is going to turn into. The guy just declares himself president for life. What did Paul Biya ever have to do in order to become the president? You got Francis Ngannou who could kick the shit out of everybody. You probably could just flick Paul Biya with his, just a little huff and a little puff. Paul Biya tumbling down goddamn hill. So I'm excited. Jack Johnson has been pardoned. Jack Johnson has been reinvigorated, reanimated, regenerated. Jack Johnson has been pardoned. Jack Johnson is the new champ of the world. Now let's listen to some more of this interview.
I thought I still have like a round. I think it was the end of man, and that's when I like, fuck, what's going on? Something's wrong. And I'm like, okay, I can gather myself to get out, put together my shit.
So that's what he sounds like. He's got an MMA gym in Cameroon. He used to work in the mines, and he actually sold dirt from the mines that he worked at, the sand or the dirt from the mines that he worked at to somebody. Bitcoin, what the hell? Hey, can you send some of that dirt over here? So the MMA gym in Cameroon, the MMA gym, he's got an MMA, so he's already establishing, a legacy, an institution. I like him. I like Ngannou. Ngannou's a badass. I've seen several of his fights. I like how he's humble. He's quiet, speaks quiet. Now, they're trying to push for a brand new fight, okay? So, all right, Ngannou, you're the champion, the UFC champion. Now, what's next? Well, just be champion for a year, right? But when's the next fight? When's the next fight going to happen? And immediately they're talking about Jon Jones. So I guess maybe UFC might know. Joe Rogan said that this is going to be the biggest fight in the history of the sport. The biggest fight in the history of the sport if Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou fight. The biggest fight in the history of the sport, Ngannou is going to kill Jon Jones. Jon Jones, they say he's the same size. Ngannou is going to say later on before that they're the same size. But from what I can see, Ngannou is 6'4", Ngannou is 263 pounds, and Jon Jones is only 205 pounds. Stipe Miocic was 240 pounds, and he looked like an ant compared to Ngannou. So there's 23 pounds. That's how, that's how I measure people up, by weight class. How many more pounds do you have on the other person? Jon Jones is going to get his ass kicked if he's not going to fucking die. I don't want to see Jon Jones die. They say Jon Jones is a smarter fighter. Jon Jones apparently is undefeated. Jon Jones is, a awesome UFC fighter. Jon Jones wants to be the champ. He wants the fight to happen. He thinks it's going to happen. He says, show me the money. He's entitled to getting that money. He might break his jaw. He's going to get his ass kicked. And some of these commentators off to the side, they want to sit there and try to say, well, Jon Jones, it don't sound like he really wants to fight. Who the fuck is that? You're a commentator all to the fucking side. Shut the fuck up. If he don't want to fight, he don't want to fight. If he does want to fight, he does. Why are you provoking this shit? Let the boxers talk. Let the mature adults talk, okay? Commentators, you little motherfuckers off to the side. So I think Jon Jones is going to get his ass kicked. I think Jon Jones is going to get, from what I could tell, 205 pounds. That means he's got 60 pounds on top of Jon Jones. They're trying to say he's the same size. They try to say he's more agile and more, But, whereas Ngannou is just big and stocky. But, you have Jon Jones who's like this blockbuster, this, this whatever, rock buster, this jaw buster. So they said it probably is going to happen, so that's probably going to be, then they're right. Mike Tyson says that Jon Jones is definitely going to be the underdog. Yeah, big fucking time. Ngannou's the champ, right? So that means Ngannou would be defending the title. Jon Jones would try to take the title. And he said he might break his jaw. You see how hard Ngannou punches, and motherfuckers are like, what about the purity of the sport? What do you mean, what about the purity of the sport? These motherfuckers are, you know, putting their fucking faces on the goddamn line so they can make some fucking money and, you know, maybe allow their grandchildren to retire. And so there's 4 other names I want to mention. There's 4 other names: Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Derek Lewis, and Cyril Gane, G-A-N-E, Cyril Gane. That Cyril Gane, he's got a strong chin. He's a better fit match when it comes to weight class. Cyril Gane would be a better fight for Ngannou. Derek Lewis would be a better fight for Ngannou. I still think Ngannou's a little bit bigger than both of them. Derek Lewis is a little fat, but Derek Lewis is 263 pounds, the exact same amount as Ngannou, and he's 6'3", so he's actually 1 inch shorter. But I still think Ngannou would take Derek Lewis like it's no problem. Derek Lewis has got that weird where he just slides on his belly at the very end of the fight. He slides on his belly. So Derek Lewis would be a better fight for Ngannou, and Cyril Gane, G-A-N-E, Cyril Gane would be a better fight for Ngannou. But that's for the UFC. And so Ngannou is already the champion for the UFC. Jon Jones, Derek Lewis, and Cyril Gane can only take the title away from Ngannou, and Ngannou can only lose. So in terms of, is he the champion of the world, I think it's time to put boxing up against UFC. So you got 2 boxing champions, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is the champion of the World Boxing Council. You got the WBO, WBC, the IBF, the WBA. They all got B inside of it, right? WBC, WBO, BO, IBF, WBA. So who gets to determine who's the heavyweight champion of the world? The World Boxing Association, the IBF, the World Boxing Organization, the World Boxing Council. Well, Anthony Joshua has won the World Boxing Organization. He's the champion of the WBO. He's the champion of the IBF. He's the champion of the WBA. And then Tyson Fury is the champion of the WBC. So Tyson Fury would be a better fight for Ngannou. Anthony Joshua would be a better fight for Ngannou. Who is better between the UFC fighters and boxing fighters? Let's find out. I mean, UFC is definitely better on TV, but it kind of goes by quick, right? Boxing can go like 15 rounds. UFC, 3 little tiny 3-minute rounds. But on TV, UFC looks a lot more ferocious than boxing. So they say Jon Jones is a smart fighter. Ngannou says that they're the same size. I guess we'll find out when they first show up in the ring, right? When they both show up in the ring. I actually just saw Jon Jones was working out in the ring, and he looked a little stronger, maybe a little bit bigger, you know, than some of his previous fights. But he was talking about he needs to bulk up. He needs to bulk up. But he was saying he felt good. He was saying he was getting a lot of sleep in, a lot of exercise. He was eating a bunch, just feeling like a good, you know, just training like a fighter. So Jon Jones is feeling good. His goal is to be the champion, whether he gets the fight this time or next time or whenever it happens. Doesn't matter. He's just training because a fight is going to happen, and I think that's a good way, that's a good place to be for Jon Jones. So it's not, he's going to be the champion. He's the super underdog, and I think it's going to happen too. I think it's going to happen too. They started calling for this. As soon as Ngannou won, they started calling for it. You got Joe Rogan. He's saying it's going to be the biggest fight in the history of UFC. The biggest fight in the history of UFC is Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou. I mean, I want to trust Joe Rogan on it, but I think Joe Rogan is incorrect. Derek Lewis, Cyril Gane, Tyson Fury, and Anthony Joshua, I think, would be better contenders for Ngannou. I think it's going to be terrible. I think it's just going to, he's going to wipe the floor with Jon Jones. He's just going to use Jon Jones as a towel just to wipe, you know, just to clean the floor up of the spit and sweat and whatever. So I don't think it's going to be much of a fight at all. The biggest fight in the history of the sport, and I don't even think it's going to be much of a fight. But that's because I think he looks like he's 205 pounds versus 263 pounds. He looks like he's a lot skinnier, a lot smaller. And so anyways, those are 4 more worthy opponents. Those are 4 more worthy opponents at least. Because I don't want to see Ngannou just beat the shit out of Jon Jones just because of, you know, what the fuck ever. Just because you want to see people beat up on each other. What I want is a good, even, fair fight. I want a good, even, fair fight. I want Francis Ngannou to go up against another fucking badass. Another badass. A good, even, fair fight. And so far, to me, it doesn't seem like it'd be a fair fight between Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. But it'd be, I mean, because Jon Jones is going to get, you know, fucked up. That's why it's going to be, you know, people are going to watch, oh, shit. You know, who's going to go up against the champ, Jon Jones? Oh, shit. And I hope it doesn't happen. I would rather, and then boxing. Is Anthony Joshua or Francis Ngannou? Who would win? They should fight one in boxing and the other one in UFC. There should be 2 fights. Let's see who's the best. Who's got the best fighters? Does boxing or UFC have the best fighters? Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou. That's who I want to know. Who's the baddest motherfucker on the planet? He's already kicked ass in the UFC set thing, so I don't even know what. Jon Jones isn't the champ. Francis Ngannou is the champ. So Anthony Joshua, who's the champion of the world? Francis Ngannou has got to fight Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury's only got 1 belt. Anthony Joshua's got 3 belts. So I would say he's the champion, the boxing champion. So let's get the boxing champion and the UFC champion up, and let's see how, you know, how shit goes down. Let's see how that, let's see it. See how that turns out, huh?
Do you pay attention to that? Like social media, stuff like that?
It's not like something that you can pay attention. You hear it, you get it. You know, pay attention of it or not.
Well, honest question, I hear some people listen to some people say, how can you not listen to that? How can you not hear it?
How can you not hear it? Like, it's all over. You know, it's all over. You feel it. At some point, I'm like, man, I wish I wasn't here. You know, I mean, it kind of like mess with your mind. You want to be unknown by people, like, where, and you see somebody, you're like, hey, Francis, can I have a picture? You're ashamed of yourself. And I'm like, why do you even want a picture? Why do you want to want a picture with me? Like, leave me alone, you know. But, you know, you have to see that you're trying to hide. The guy, like,
you're embarrassed.
Yeah, you're embarrassed.
Yeah.
And, yeah. But, you know,
So that's not Ngannou talking about that he's embarrassed when they want to take pictures with him, because it's like, I guess he's being humble. There's, you know, he's saying people are putting him up on a pedestal, and he's just like, I'm just a regular guy. Mike Tyson just asked, why are you embarrassed?
Because you feel bad about yourself, your performance, everything. You just feel like you're nothing.
If you won or if you lost?
No, I mean, that was
the feeling that I had
after the Lewis fight, you know, and that was like that loss, and it wasn't good. And
did you see that fight, Mike? No. So Derek Lewis is, you know, Francis is a knockout artist. Yeah, and Derek Lewis is definitely a knockout artist. So the public and the media.
Not sure what he was talking about there, but it sounds like he's saying that he, you know, when he loses the fight and they take a picture with him, maybe. I don't know. Ngannou, you hear how quiet and humble and nice and polite and how he speaks softly, carries a big stick. People say he's kind of a smart fighter too. The last fight against Stipe Miocic, he was smart. And he wasn't a crazy fighter. And they say that that's a good thing. It is good to be smart. That is good, right? I mean, why wouldn't it be? But it's also, I think Ngannou probably needs to add a little bit of crazy into the mix too. Crazy helps you, you know. You're not as focused, but crazy just turns all, you know, all your engines on, your carburetor and your your transmission, the whole, you know, machine is turned on when it comes to being crazy. You don't want to be crazy and wild and just, you know, randomly throwing punches. So him being smart and composed, and even when he beat the shit out of Stipe Miocic, he was still in the, you know, moment, in the So he was smart. He was composed. He wasn't out of his mind crazy. And they said that that's a good thing. But that, you know, go back to Tyson when he walks up and he's just, you know, Tyson is just, you know, he's just ready to, yeah, what's up, man? No, I'm ready to hurt you. Okay, I see you. No, okay. He just comes up like he's ready to do, you know, beat the shit out of some motherfucker, ready to kick ass and take names. He looks a little fucking crazy, like a psycho beast that wants to beat the fuck out of the other guy. And I don't think it's just a look. I think that's what you should be. That's what Tyson was. That's who Tyson still is. He's a little slower, but he's pretty sharp for, you know, being a fighter. But yeah, Francis Ngannou, you might want to get some more crazy in you. You might want to add a little bit more crazy. Add a little bit of crazy to your fighting stance, just a little bit. You don't want it to take over, but it's not all bad. Yeah, so the fountain of crazy, Ngannou. Just take a little sip from the fountain of crazy. It's nice that you're, you know, humble, quiet, nice, polite. Speak softly, but you're the fucking champ, right? So you can tell people to back off if you want. You don't have to be a total asshole, but, you know, we'll give you leeway. Maybe that's what he's talking about. Everybody wants to take a picture with him. He's like, who am I? I'm nothing. Fine, I'll take a picture with you. Then you feel a little weird and embarrassed, and it's kind of, get out of here. What is that? What's wrong with you? Why don't you train and be somebody yourself? Quit admiring motherfuckers. Be somebody yourself. Anyways, Francis Ngannou, heavyweight champion of the world. Cameroon, hell yeah. Cameroon is showing America exactly what the fuck is up. America might dominate the world militarily. Paul Biya, the dictator, the totalitarian dictator of Cameroon, might oppress the shit and have a bunch of fraudulent, fake bullshit elections for Cameroon. But Cameroon's got Francis Ngannou, and Francis Ngannou can beat the shit out of everybody. So I guess Francis Ngannou for president, huh, Cameroon? I don't think it's far-fetched. All you need is people to know you for something, and he's a badass boxer. Now get some progressive views, run for office to be a badass president. Anyways.